Good afternoon, everyone. It's Creator Mom. So today is my son's one of my son's 8th birthday. And ironically, his birthday has fallen on the full moon, which is really cool. It's called the Hunter's full moon, which is really awesome because he reminds me of a hunter. Like, he has the hunter vibe. Actually, today he's wearing a freaking camo shirt, which is funny. He's just he's a very tactile kid. He needs to stay busy with his hands in the dirt, making something with animals, just anything. So I think that this full moon on his birthday is so appropriate and so fitting. But anyways, I wanted to make a video on, I was watching Mike Popovich, one of my favorite. He talks about like healing your book, which is the Bible, and how shit has been misinterpreted. But he doesn't just say that. He goes further to break down the correct interpretations by going into the Hebrew, yada yada. So I was listening to him and I became inspired to make this video about how we can decide, like, about how, like, we don't have to sit back and say, well, I guess we'll wait and see how everything works out. We can decide beforehand that everything is going to work out. And I know that is kind of scary because your brain wants to be like, well, you can't say that because you don't know for sure, right? But it's just like, the more you operate in that, the more natural that type of thinking becomes. The more you operate in your power, the more your power feels more natural to you. It was funny because I made a meditation video earlier, but I deleted it because I didn't like the way I looked. But in the meditation, that also came up in my meditation hours ago, that experiencing the power more than you ever had before. So anyways, maybe that was on track. I hate doubting myself, but it's like I do doubt myself. So yeah, you don't have to wait and see. You don't have to wait and see. You can declare now how everything is going to work out with your authority. That's ballsy? That takes some balls, right? Like, I'm not waiting to see how things work out with a situation or whatever it is. I'm declaring right now that shit is going to go this way and that way, and that's the way it's going to go. It has to come from a place of conviction, though, which comes from in the gut, in the heart. I have 2 examples. I don't know if I shared this first example on here, and I'll warn you, the mind, this is what the mind does. It discounts. It kind of devalues, and it goes, that would have happened anyway. Oh, that was a coincidence. Well, no, it wasn't. So I have a car that I'm driving that was my car to drive in my marriage. When I left with that car, which was fine. So the issue was that my car was due for registration renewal, and the car is not titled. The car is titled under the X. So they were like, and it's funny because I went on the 1st of the month that I was due, and even though I felt like going, I knew in my heart of hearts that it was going to be rejected, that maybe I shouldn't go. But I was like, oh, I'm in the vicinity. My natural mind was like, I'm in the vicinity, let me just go anyways and see if I can get this done. So I go, and it was rejected. They were like, no, this person owes tax money, so we can't renew it. I'm like, okay. You know, I didn't cause a fuss. I'm like, all right, I left. And I thought, shoot. I'm in the car and I'm driving and I'm trying not to get emotional because I know, I know better because I know better. I know, okay, God, all right, what's going to happen here? And I know that I'm supposed to declare what's going to happen. I know that I'm not just supposed to cry and be like, this is never going to work out or some shit like that. So I'm driving along and my spirit, my intuition, God in me says, go on the last day of the month at 3:00. Very specific. And I'm like, all right. So sure enough, I followed those instructions and it went through. And the taxes, I think, were still owed. But, and everyone was telling me that, I think I might have shared this, or I shared, what I did share was that I was looking for outside approval, because even though I was denied, and then I got those instructions, I still was trying to ask people, like, hey, this is my situation, like, what should I do? You know, I was acting all, like, natural and shit. And everybody that I asked was like, I don't see why you would get that approved. It's not your car. It's not titled under your name. Like, of course it ain't gonna happen for you. Like, sorry, like, maybe talk to a lawyer, you know? And I laughed, and that's when I made one of the videos on my channel talking about how I know I'm trying to accomplish something that is not, like, that wouldn't maybe normally go through in the natural, but I know that the natural is supposed to bow to my authority. So I laughed at myself. I'm like, look at you, trying to get somebody on the outside to tell you what's possible, looking for comfort or whatever, looking for answers, when I had already gotten the answer, because the Lord already said, or my spirit, my intuition already said, do this. So anyways, like I said, I followed the instructions. Everything went well. Everything is fine. That's one testimony of kind of deciding or getting instruction on what it was going to be like, instead of just saying, okay, it's not going to work out, because in the natural, they just don't do this. The second thing was, I've been having an issue with my shoulder. And I go to jiu-jitsu, and I really hurt my shoulder even worse, like, in jiu-jitsu a couple of weeks ago, and then last week I hurt it again by rolling over onto it. So I got really emotional, and I was, like, crying, because I thought shit, like, all right, I guess I can't come anymore. This is going to be taken away from me too. Like, my mind was starting to go into this negative place. And then, you know, at the end of class, one of the instructors was like, well, you know, do you think like maybe you should go to the doctor or something like that? I'm not a big doctor person, but I thought, you know what, maybe I'll just go to, because obviously they have x-rays and things like that. Like, they have some tools I don't have. But I was trying to look up information about what my symptoms were and see what therapeutic type of exercises I could do to strengthen my shoulder. So it was funny, because after that, I was driving, and I'm like, oh my God, I literally live, like, in walking distance to a orthopedic, like, place or whatever, like, sports medicine type place. And I'm like, I remembered they do take my insurance, because I brought my kid there. And so I'm like, I got inspired to just make an appointment there. And after I made my appointment, I already got the rundown internally in my spirit. It was like, my spirit was telling me, like, it's going to go fast. You're going to get there. You're just going to be there for like an hour. You're going to come out at 2. Like, it's going to be so quick and easy. This information was just being downloaded to me, like, internally, just automatically. Anyways, then I thought, and I'm talking to my friend Karen, and I'm joking with her. I was like partly joking, but partly serious. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go into the doctor. He's just going to be like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's not even like a tear, like, like, meaning, like, what I meant was, my intention was that, oh, you're not going to need like surgery or anything crazy. It's just like a little sprain. Just ice it, whatever. Let's bring down the inflammation. I literally told her, this is what the doctor's going to say. But like I said, I was like partly joking, but partly serious. Literally, I go to the damn appointment and it went so smooth. Like, I got there early, did my paperwork, and boom, 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 I was brought right in. Got the x-ray, got put in the office. It just all happened so fast. And then the doctor's like, he just, lifts it, checks out my range of motion, and I tell him when I feel pain and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, he's like, no, it's not a tear, it's just some inflammation. We're going to get that inflammation down, and most likely it's just going to heal on its own once you get that inflammation down, and make sure you ice it every day for 15 minutes. And I'm like, in my head, I'm laughing. I'm like, okay. So overall, it was a really good experience. And I'm glad that I did it, and I'm glad that I went, because I think that sometimes that it is helpful to use the outer world as a point of reference or something like that. Like, I can't really explain it, but like, it can be beneficial to use the outer world for your benefit and to your benefit. So anyways, he just prescribed me some steroids for the inflammation. But then I also got inspired to order another product that I think is supposed to help with inflammation. So I got these pills here. So I'm like, okay, like, I can do this. I don't know. The point is that I decided what he was going to say before I got there. And I thought to myself, is this me creating, or is it just our psychic or prophetic, whatever label you want to put on it, abilities to know what's going to happen? That's always a question that I have. It's like, did you create it, or was it going to happen anyways, but you just were able to tap into the fact that that was what was going to happen? All right.